Hello, I do hope people have made it. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Talk of the Crown. Let me just adjust this camera because I've just been fiddling with it because I've just had some technical issues. So, for those of you, that's still not right. For those of you just joining, let me just get this right. So I'm hoping that people have already left the old chat room and are going to this new one because I've had kind of technical issues tonight. As you know, I film on my phone and something is up with my external power source. So when I plug it in, it's not really plugging in. So I can't start a live chat until my external power source is plugged in and proper. And then on top of that, those issues, when I came on, periodically my camera does this thing where it just goes the wrong way up. And no, my lock screen is not on or anything like that. It just does it sometimes. It's really annoying. In fact, I think I'm ready for a new phone. I think I'm ready for the new iPhone. What is it? The X something Pro? No, the iPhone 11 Pro. That's it. I need the iPhone 11 Pro. But they're very expensive. So, so yes, we'll have to put up with this one for a while. But hello and welcome. I do hope you've all had a really amazing week. I'm now all hot and sweaty and bothered. So there we go. Anyway, it is Saturday, the 26th of October, 2019, and actually I've just realised I haven't found the chat room because obviously I've just been resetting the chat. So hello and welcome. Now, I know some of you may have been expecting me in Halloween attire today, but I decided that actually, in terms of being closest to Halloween, the actual day of Halloween, the 31st of October, next Saturday for me is actually closer to it. So I know Halloween will have been and gone, but it's kind of closer in days. So I'm going to do my Halloween special next Saturday, all being well. Right, apparently we do have, I think everyone's migrated back over from the other room. So hello and welcome. Aislinn says, wow, this is like a formal roll call in a classroom. It is a bit, isn't it? Now, by the way, if I miss any comments that were really important, do let me know. By the way, now that I've had to restart it, slow mode is not on. So, if there are trolls that enter the room, they could literally post message after message after message. And tonight's chat is going to be very fast because obviously people aren't limited to the 60 seconds. So, this is going to be interesting, isn't it? Anyway, I want to say a big thank you to the moderators that always do a really amazing job. I'm not sure who's in the room yet, but a really, really, really big thank you to them. Chibi Meatball says, Saturday is Day of the Dead. You'll be fine. What, next Saturday or this Saturday? I don't know. Let me know. Winnie Richardson says, so spiffy. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you. Kathy G's watching from the side of the road. Car engine overheating. Oh no, like me. My engine's overheating with all the stress of technology. Oh, I can't be doing with technology. Right, do you want to see an outfit of the day? So I've got my new trousers on that are skinny. These are skinny. Can you see the skinniness going on here? We have some skinny going on. These, I actually bought a skinny leg. Look. Anyway, I've got the skinny trousers on with my waistcoat, shirt, obviously, pearl brooch, and I've got the Duchess, oh, I forgot a name. Oh, Duchess Augusta, that's it. The Duchess Augusta tiara, which is the original Lover's Knot tiara that the Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara was modelled on. And I'm wearing my sort of red patterned bow tie today. So there we go. We have the skinny outfit on today. We are feeling skinny. Can I get a fan flap for that? Use my fan to, do you know what? I think I might. I'm going to use the red one. Because I am hot. Really hot today. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Dawn. I'm looking forward to it too. Yvonne says, a lot of skinny going on. A lot of skinny. Kelly says, what an exquisite tiara you're wearing. No, I won't get too thin. There's probably there's only so much thin I can get. There we go. LD Poodle says, I can't believe my intellect. Grieve 3 USA says, woot woot skinny. Oh, right. Do you know what? This fan, my goodness, I think I need to fan flap everything today. Literally, I have come out and in a hot flush. I'm actually having a hot flush right now. So you've just caught me in the middle of my hot flush. H.M. the King says, I just tried Krispy Kreme for the first time. Are you living? Are you living for Krispy Kreme? They are gorgeous, but they're banished from my diet right now. Gone are the Krispy Kremes. Buffalo Payne says, can't believe you eat so much cake. Well, I haven't ate so much cake. I haven't really had any chocolate, crisps, biscuits or cake in about 5 weeks. Well, I mean, okay, I lie slightly. My nan did give me one slice of lemon drizzle a few days ago, but that is it in 5 weeks. I've had no chocolate, no crisps, biscuits, nothing. So no, I haven't really. That's probably why I've been losing weight. Elizabeth Vagina says, heart attack donuts, yes. H. London says, what's in the news in the UK? Anything important? Basically, what's dominating the news in the UK is that there were some migrants that lost their lives in a refrigerated truck. There was something like, is it 38 or 39 migrants? And they're still determining where they all came from. But people are suspecting it was Vietnam or certain parts of China. So, yes, that's dominating the news at the moment. As, of course, you know, Brexit is an ongoing news-dominating factor going on. Patricia said, why am I having a hot flash? Because I had technology issues at the start of this chat and I had to restart. And it's bringing me out in a stressy heat thing going on. Alexander says, oh yes, that was so... Well, yes, it's awful. Terrible. People can't believe that... Well, they actually got locked in. I mean, somebody actually got them in there knowing that it was an airtight, sealed, refrigerated unit. I think it was even went as low as -25. And they locked them in. I mean, you know, you don't do that, do you? Trevor Daniel says, I heard about I found my way back. Can you check your post office? My gifts have been sitting there over for... Yes. I normally go on Sundays, so tomorrow is my day to go. By the way, there is a time difference in the UK. Our clocks go back at 2 a.m. by 1 hour. So next week, the chat will be different. So it'll be an hour earlier. Yeah, it'll be an hour earlier for you, I think. Or will it be an hour later? Right, I always get confused with that kind of thing. Work it out. You'll have to work it out. Our clocks go back an hour, so that will affect you for next week. Johnny says, hello everybody. I had a hard time getting on, and all of a sudden you popped up. I did pop up. Yes, the people, it looks like those people that lost their lives were kind of trafficked. They were indeed. Angelica says, don't lose more weight. I'm trying not to. Well, I haven't tried to lose weight. H.M. the King says, I have a feeling the story will only get sadder. I think once they... I mean, they've revealed the identity of one of them, so we have, like, you know, a human face to put to it. But I think as soon as, you know, more details are released, I think it will get sadder, I agree. Christine says, what's all the brouhaha about Harry and Meghan's picture removed? Well, let me talk about the photo. So I did touch on this briefly in a different chat. So it looked like in the one photo that Harry and Meghan's photo that was on the Queen's table had gone when the Queen was having an audience. And I looked on the other tables and I couldn't see it. So often they are rotated and moved. Originally, people were kind of saying maybe it's because the Queen wanted to, you know, kind of honour, respect them of what was going on and give them some privacy, therefore to take the photo away. However, some other people have said that from different angles they could see the portrait on a different table. Now I've looked and I can't. So whether they were looking at a different photo completely altogether that might have gone on Twitter or been shared in a different group that I don't go to, but I couldn't see it anywhere. Let me know if you've seen it in a different photo, in a different place. Let me know, but I couldn't see it. So if it's not there, then it's still a mystery as to why it's not there. But like I say, a lot of people are speculating that it's obviously with all what's gone on with Harry and Meghan recently with that documentary, the Africa documentary, that maybe the Queen is showing them some respect in a form of symbolism. Because as we know, the Queen does express herself, not so much in words, but most certainly in symbolism. So by removing the photo, could be to give them some respect. But other people have also been saying that to remove the photo is because the Queen's angry and she has decided to chuck Meghan out of Frogmore and all the rest of it, which is a complete load of nonsense because the Queen doesn't do that. She's not like that. She's not that sort of person. Think of all the scandals that have gone on. So, you know, in all the interviews, Prince Charles did an interview, Diana did an interview. Everyone's done things and they haven't been expelled or their photos removed. So if the photo is gone, it's probably for other reasons, I would say, other than someone being, other than the Queen not being very nice to Meghan. No, I agree. The Queen would not remove it completely. PJR says also a palace aide may have moved it around when the room was cleaned. Maybe they do it frequently when rearranging the room. Yes, I mean, the only thing I would say is that all the other photos were the same. So there wasn't any other movings around. It was seemingly just that photo. I agree, Candice. I don't think it means anything bad by the picture being moved. Jan says, is the Prince Charles documentary online anywhere? Well, I watched the Prince Charles documentary today, in fact, because I had quite a few things going on, so I didn't get a chance to watch it when it aired, but I did watch it today. And obviously, it's a series, so it continues next week. But so this is kind of like, the first episode was the introductory episode to the Duchy of Cornwall. And as we all know, or if you don't know, I will tell you, the Duchy of Cornwall is what is inherited by the heir to the throne to provide an income for the heir to the throne, obviously the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles. So this goes back, you know, hundreds of, well, was it something like 600 or so? Anyway, many hundreds of years. It goes back many hundreds of years, and it has provided an income for the heir to the throne for all those years, and it still exists in, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of land and property that produces an income. And I think it generates about 22 million pounds a year profit. So the Prince of Wales is entitled, or rather the Duke of Cornwall is entitled to keep that money, and that provides his personal income for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, although obviously that's now been split with Buckingham Palace in terms of the Sussexes. But it also provides for all of his official duties as Prince of Wales as well. So basically, Prince Charles pays for himself, Camilla, William, Catherine, and half now of Harry and Meghan. So basically, that money gets spent on official duties and also personal expenditure as well. So a personal income and a kind of a work income, if you like, kind of expenses. So, like I say, the programme is following the estate, how it works, certain people that might be tenants. The first episode followed a lot of farmers, for example. So obviously the Duchy of Cornwall owns vast amounts of farmland, and although that isn't the main income of the Duchy of Cornwall, the main income is actually property and that kind of thing. And obviously there are new emerging elements of the Duchy of Cornwall, including things like offshore wind and, you know, energy production, that kind of thing. So that's going to come up as probably a big percentage of the income in the future. So it followed lots of like tenant farmers and things like that. It showed how much the people that live and work on the estate matter to the prince. And he's not just about profit, he's about human element of it as well. And lots of these tenant farmers are from generations and generations of tenant farmers of the duchy, and it showed the staff that work there. It also touched on Prince William taking over, and there was one scene where Prince William said to some of the staff, "Don't worry, when I take over, I'm not going to rock the boat, I won't change much." He said, "But I'm not as interested in the architecture as what my father is." So William kind of saying, well, at the moment I'm not kind of interested in the architecture. It also followed Poundbury, Prince Charles's model town, and it's due to be completed in 2025. And Prince Charles said, "I'm hoping that in my dotage years, I'll be able to hobble down Poundbury Poundbury and think, oh, I did that, and be able to see what's going on. So it kind of followed that as well. I'm trying to think of anything really important. It also had little words with Camilla. So Camilla was talking about how much the people mean to Charles. It also showed that Charles sends his tenant farmers a gift every single year, and also invites them to certain parties at Highgrove, and also some of them do get invited to the back. I think I'm back. I'll explain what happened in a moment if I'm back. I'll just wait a second, see if it updates on my screen that I might be back. Right, just tell me if you can see me. Just one person say yes if you can see me. I'm just looking. Alright, I'm back. Okay. So, so yes, if you like insightful documentaries, then I would say watch it. If you like to know what goes on behind the scenes and like to see the sort of the human element behind the monarchy, then I would definitely recommend it. Try and watch it on catch up if you can. I'm not sure if it's online if you're overseas, but I would definitely recommend it. And also there was a really nice bit where a tenant farmer read a poem that she'd written about Charles, and Charles was laughing and it almost made him cry. So there we go. Right, I'll explain why it kind of cut off in a moment. So I am trialing not using my my broadband, my Wi-Fi, because obviously, you know, I want to know if I can do without it or not. So I'm doing everything off my phone, off my 4G, off my internet data. I've got unlimited data on my phone. So I'm hotspotting my laptop, my phone. I'm trying to broadcast live on my phone. So I want to see how many blips we have. If we only get the odd 1 or 2 blip, then I may consider getting rid of my broadband. But if it's too problematic, then obviously I might keep broadband, but might scale back my whole package on that. So if it goes again, if it's too problematic, I won't do it again. And anyway, we'll see about that one. So no, I don't know if the Prince Charles documentary is online anywhere at the moment. V says, is Prince Charles upset with Harry, as some are reporting? Well, I don't know how they'd know. How would they know if Prince Charles is upset with Harry? I really wouldn't know. Mary says, do we know if Meghan's wax figure has been returned to the royal area, obviously at Madame Tussauds? I don't know. I haven't heard any talk about it, so who knows? All I would say is they did say that it would be returning, but they didn't say when. So seeing as the main, you know, well actually it's half term now, so they could have left it in there for half term because lots of the kids are off. So if I had to put my finger on it, I would probably say that they would wait until after half term to move it back, but I've not heard anything about it. Right, I'm going to scoot all the way down to the bottom. Oh, Patron the King says, yes, the Charles documentary is on YouTube. So there we go. Apparently it's on YouTube. Constance says, yes, I can appreciate the slow motion. Yes, there is a lot to be said for slow mode. It does help to slow down. When there's, you know, 400 and something people in the room, it does help. I wasn't lying. Donna, oh, hang on. Going up. Jill says, I found some great old videos after watching the new documentary. In one, Survival Highgrove Nature's Kingdom. Ooh, I might not have seen that one. It showed very young William and Harry watching lambing. Oh, I think I have. A very long time ago. That does bring back memories, unless I've seen clips of that elsewhere. Valerie says, question, can Kate rewear clothes she's worn to royal events? For example, to the Middletons? Yes. Even if they were purchased in terms of on the sort of work clothing budget, yes. I don't see why not. I don't think anyone would ever know if she did. Mrs. Speedy says, well, frankly, Harry's own comments directly suggest he's having some mental health issues, in particular post-traumatic stress. Why do people insist on making that an insult? Well, it was very interesting in, obviously, the Harry and Meghan An African Journey documentary. It did reveal from Harry and Meghan directly I think, how they are feeling just as a snapshot in time with life in general. And obviously, Harry's portion of it was a lot going back to the harrowing time when he lost his mother. And, he said for a time he thought he was okay, and he wasn't. Every camera click, every flash takes him back to his mother, and how and why she lost her life tragically, and that still harrows him today. He hasn't come to terms with it, in terms of that he hasn't got over it. It seems that time hasn't been a particular healer for him. However, he's existing, he's getting on, he's dealing with it day by day. And obviously that will help. Now he's got Meghan, because he's got, someone to sound off of other than family, which I think is a very different dynamic when you're dealing with grief, and also getting support for that. So yes, it's still obviously an ongoing issue, and I think has accepted that it's going to be a lifetime of management of it. I think he's accepted, I'm not going to get over it. For me, time is not going to be a healer. This is something that I'm just going to have to manage on a day-to-day basis to get through. So yes, I think he does have, I think, an element of post-traumatic stress. Although I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, so I wouldn't like to diagnose him over the internet. But it does seem like he has this as an issue that's probably going to be an issue for the rest of his life. But I'm glad he's got someone to help him through that, and it also helps understand, why he's kind of striking out as he is, because he's being very protective over Meghan. Then we get obviously Meghan speaking out, and and I'm back. So you can clearly see the human element of the impact of what's all that having on Meghan. I've spoke about it before, so if you want to see me speaking at length, do go and watch the video that I made on that. Right. That is one too many pauses for me with regards to the 4G on the phone, so I don't think I'll be doing that again. So yes, next week's chat will be on the broadband. I am not getting rid of broadband. Right, I'm going to scoot all the way down to the bottom to try and help manage the lack of slow mode. So if you've, right. Louise says, Dickie Arbiter also mentioned he may be experiencing PT. I mean, he did have, kind of frontline combat, but I'm not sure how much he would have seen in terms of, I mean, obviously, I think he lost comrades, didn't he? So yes, in terms of that, although he wasn't on the front line exactly, he may have obviously seen wounded soldiers, comrades come back, which could be. But I think a lot of his trauma is all to do with his mother and how she died. Brenda says, I believe Meghan can handle it. If the press stop lying on her, she can handle it. If they can. Jill says, I think the fear of watching Meghan go through the upset his mum went through with all the press after the divorce is making it worse. As a married man, he feels his pain and hers. Indeed. PJR says, you cannot categorise someone's grief and pain due to a great loss. It's totally personal and individual. It's foolish to think you know how they feel even if you have had loss. It's yours alone. And Louise says, he did. You may experience it from seeing comrades suffer. Also his mum's sudden death. And Patricia says, hey London, it is trying out using just his phone. Yes, I am. And I've had 2 blips already, so we'll see. Boo says, what Harry said on Instagram page explains it. It is not simply about Diana. What did Harry say on the Instagram page? Did he address the documentary? Am I missing something? Have I missed something entirely? I'm going to have to go and check. What did Harry say on the Instagram page? Or am I completely missing it? Which post are we talking about here? Tell me which post and I'll go and have a look. Helen Jackson has donated £1.99, who says, love the Sussexes family. Thank you so much, and of course you get the golden fan flap, so thank you so much for that kind donation. Mwah! HM the King says, I think Meghan and Harry are slipping into dangerous territory in terms of their public image, regardless of whose fault that is. I don't think anyone can argue the fact that the relationship with the press has broken down. I mean, it's broken down, and you know, the way that the press report is going to have an impact on anyone's public image, especially if they're all doing it at the same time. They're all following a similar narrative. There are some people out there that believe what they read, or what they see on the TV, or you know, what other people are gossiping about. There are some people that believe it. However, I do believe those people are in the minority. You know, Britain is not full completely of stupid people who have lost sense of reality and their own minds. Most people will know that there is something up, that there's something a little bit fishy going on with the press, and obviously the relationship between Harry and Meghan and the press. And I think, am I back? I think so, yes. So I think lots of people realise that there's lots of bitterness from different sides going on, which may be the reason why there has been so much negative press. So yes, I think, you know, I've always said that it's dangerous for this kind of relationship to carry on for too long, because it may end up harming how the public feel about them. I think there was a poll done in Tatler magazine. So Tatler magazine, if you don't know, is kind of like a posh magazine. It's kind of like an upper... I think I'm back. So Tatler basically shows lots of, you know, adverts for high fashion and jewels and all that. So apparently it surveyed something like 2,000 people, and it did a poll, and I think it just shows that just about Harry and Meghan are still in favour with the public, but it's something like, you know, 60 to 40% at the minute. So slipped slightly, and I do think that that may be as a direct result of the negative press, because people weren't certainly thinking and feeling that before the slew of negative press. So I would most definitely put that squarely at the feet of the media. But going back to HM the King's point, yes, I think lots of negative press will eventually have a really negative effect, and you know, those approval ratings could slip even further, below 50% if it carries on. That's just the reality of the situation. It's not right, it's not okay, but that's the stark reality of it. I don't always tell you what you want to hear, people, and sometimes I have to tell you things that you don't want to hear. That's one of them. You know, if this carries on much longer, and we don't know how it's going to turn out with the court cases, we don't know. We also don't know what the press's reaction is going to be after the court cases, whatever the outcome of those court cases are. So that's going to have another impact as well. Mrs. Speedy says, ugh, why does supporting Meghan and Harry have to mean attacking William and Catherine? I completely agree with you, and I don't think people should be attacking William and Catherine. And I certainly won't be on this channel. Southern Lady says, the Sussexes have a global impact. The way they are viewed in the UK is not the same in the rest of the world. Well, I agree, because like I said, that goes back to exposure to the media, and obviously overseas, particularly in the Commonwealth, they will not have the amount of exposure to the British tabloids in particular as what people do in Britain. So yes, I completely agree. They will be viewed differently throughout the rest of the world. But what is dangerous is a lot of these kind of hate channels on YouTube, because they can be viewed by anybody, anywhere in the world. Selma says, in the UK but not in Africa, they don't have access to internet. Am I back? Okay, this is annoying me now. I am never doing this on my phone like this again. Right. Okay, Greece says, it's so nice spending time with everyone in the chat room and hearing common sense opinions. Thank you, you're more than welcome. Cosmo Payne says, it's nice the government of Malta is opening the Queen's house there as a museum. I hadn't heard the story, to be honest, but yes, that would be lovely if you can go to Malta and see where she stayed while she was a naval officer's wife. That in her early years of marriage, that would be amazing. Aiton the King says, many people believe these tabloid stories. Nobody can prevent that from happening, and nobody can stop them from printing lies. Again, in terms of having a free press, they are allowed to print what they want, even if it's lies. It's not right. I've said that before. It's not right. It's not okay. But that's kind of what it is. I mean, I do think that they should have some kind of professional code where, you know, they should be bound at least to tell the truth. But at the, you know, in terms of the law, unless they're being defamatory or, you know, breaking any libel laws, they are allowed to say kind of what they want. It's not right. They shouldn't lie outright, and they shouldn't do bad narratives. But unless it breaks, you know, libel laws or that kind of thing, defamatory, there's not a lot people can do, which is why it's very interesting, the case, obviously, that Harry and Meghan have been putting, because that does deal with some of those issues. So that will be very interesting to see what happens. Magnus says, it's awful when you are feeling helpless when attacked, so the decision to speak out would help them emotionally. Yes, what did Meghan term it as? She said, the British stiff upper lip is damaging internally, I think was the words that she used. So yes, it would have been a great relief to have got it off her chest, and to have had that out there in the public, most definitely. Bumper Allen says, the truth doesn't sell papers or clicks. Well, I know. The reality of that is true, yes. Yeah, what you're saying is completely correct. Live, Love and Laugh says, Tatler is not credible to me, so I don't care what they have to say. I mean, again, you know, if people are telling you something you don't want to hear, people often don't want to agree with it. But I don't dispute the fact that they must have done a survey of 2,000 people. They asked the questions that they asked, and those were the results. Obviously, that is a sample. It's 2,000 people that they have selected out of a population of, what, 60 odd million, going on 70 million. So it's a very small sample size, and we do have to bear that in mind. But I don't doubt one bit that they did do a survey. It was 2,000 people. Those were the questions, and those were the results. But obviously, we don't know which 2,000 people they chose. Were they biased people? Were they impartial? Was it a random selection of ages? Was it a random selection of genders? That element of it we don't know. Let's have a look. Mariana says, not everything is a lie. There was an admission from Harry's part, even you retracted last week. Yes, Harry did confirm that there had been disagreements behind the scenes. He said that they'd had their good and their bad days with regards to his relationship with William. Wouldn't necessarily say I did a retraction. I still stand 100% by what I said. I think when they started off with Meghan joining the Royal Foundation, when they were dubbed the Fab Four, I think they had every intention of working together as a unit. And I said that way back when. But I think, again, I'll stand by what I said very, very early on. in that relationship of Meghan joining, I think they all realised that they were on these different paths. Harry and Meghan would have wanted one thing and would have wanted to have pulled and pushed in one direction. William and Catherine obviously wanted, probably the Royal Foundation to stay on the same kind of path it was on. So what I can imagine is that Harry and Meghan wanted to probably branch off more to do with the Commonwealth and perhaps work maybe outside of the UK, which is what they've indicated, and that was incompatible. Now, what we had from Harry was he confirmed that they'd probably had good days and bad days, possibly fallings out over this direction of where to go. So they very, very quickly realised early on this isn't going to work, and we're on different paths, on divergent paths, as the palace said. Therefore, it's probably best to get set up now, ready for your future roles, which is William and Catherine, likely to be the Prince and Princess of Wales, and obviously William, the Duke of Cornwall, when that is passed to him once Charles becomes king. And of course, Harry and Meghan getting themselves set up for their role for life within the royal family. So I think that's what's happened, and the only kind of admission that we've had is that there were some tensions, and obviously the press must have got wind of some of those tensions. I don't know how. Some of their sources, it actually shows that there could be a leak. There could actually be a potential leak within Kensington Palace in particular, because that's where they all kind of were when all this was going on. So somebody, it seems, was talking. Somebody was talking to the press. I don't know who. We really don't know who. But I still don't think it was as bad as what the press was saying. Harry himself, in the interview, did say that the majority of what was printed is lies. Therefore, that means that some of it was an element of truth. But, like I've said for ages, sometimes they take an element of truth and then they spin a complete whole false narrative around it, just to make it even more sensationalism than what it actually is. So they take things out of context, spin a yarn, and push it out there, and then it gets regurgitated through everybody, and it gets turned into gossip, and that's what's happened. So that's my thoughts and comments on that. Let's have a look. Jane says, I would like to see where the British royal family has bent over backwards for Harry and Meghan. Well, we don't know. I mean, I said that before as well. We don't know behind the scenes what they did. However, what we can certainly say is what we have seen them do. So we can't say what we haven't seen them do, but we can say what we have seen. So going back to when Meghan first started dating Harry, well, actually, going back to when the engagement was announced, what we did see the royal family do, in terms of using that quote, bending over backwards for Harry and Meghan, I think there was a very clear example of them bending over backwards for Meghan. No other royal bride, or rather, someone who's engaged to the royal family, was quite welcomed the same way that Meghan was. Meghan was attending engagements. Meghan was welcomed into the Royal Foundation pre-marriage. That was unheard of. Pre-marriage. No one has ever, to my knowledge, has done official engagements on behalf of the royal family, attended all these things, been welcomed and launched into a royal foundation pre-marriage. That is unheard of. So yes, the royal family did show a clear example of welcoming Meghan into the family. Meghan has done an engagement with the Queen, a solo engagement, and we don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. I mean, literally, to invite Meghan into that royal foundation pre-marriage, William and Catherine did show support for Meghan, but obviously that wasn't to work out in the long run. Let's scoot down to the bottom. Rose says, all families have disagreements and estrangements. Yes, they do. But obviously, when you're the royal family, they get blown up into all kinds of ridiculous proportions. What's in my hair? The Duchess of Augusta tiara. Mrs. Fiji says, and let come to Stan. Yes, yes, and she was also let come to Sandringham for Christmas. The rule was always no ring, no bring. Yes, exactly. That was another example of how the royal family welcomed Meghan in pre-marriage. So yes, there are clear examples of how the British royal family did include Meghan, more so than any other royal bride, to my knowledge. Rin says, I do feel bad for the way the press has been attacking Meghan non-stop, but I do think Meghan may have shown a bit of arrogance when... Oh, that message just disappeared while I was reading it. Alexander King says, the documentary on Charles really showed his personal side. He really does care about the duchy. He does indeed, and I think I did speak about that before. The human element of the Duchy of Cornwall is very important to him over profit. So rather than selling off the vast tracts of land to be more commercially exploitive of the duchy's resources, he keeps the farmlands because that is the heart of the duchy. Claudia says, it's not the royal family, it's the press and the lies. Lady Gloria says, Trolls having a field day today. No slow mode. I told you. When we don't have slow mode, it affects the flow of the chat. And there we go. So if you don't want any trolls, join my Patreon. Patreon.com. It's an app and a website. Just search for Royal Reviewer. The link is in the description. We have a Friday night chat every single Friday, 9 p.m. GMT, for patrons only. There are no trolls. It's a select, gathering of people. It's more intimate. We don't have these trolls or, things whizzing up the screen. So if you want a more intimate chat that's slower and quieter and more personal, join my Patreon. It's $6 a month, or you can donate whatever you feel. But the minimum is $6 a month, but you can choose to donate whatever you feel. And I do a Friday night live chat for all patrons. So there we go. Just thought I'd point that one out. Magna says, Camilla was welcomed prior to the wedding. Camilla had been in Charles's life for decades. I think Camilla is a slightly different point in question. She already knew the ropes, I think, before she even married. She'd been around Prince Charles long enough. But I do agree with what H.M. the King has just said. Camilla was most certainly lambasted for 20 plus years by the press, most definitely. A. Davis says, Prince Charles showed a really sharp sense of business acumen. Yes, that's another thing that was said in the documentary. When he kind of inherited it, or took it on 50 years ago, it was barely breaking even, and now it's making profits of round about 21-22 million a year. So he really has shown a good business sense. The Pink Event says, I think the disagreement thing is a bit jarring because of how they were presented previously. And Kuala Lumpur says, you know as well as the rest of Britain that Meghan has to learn how to cope with the royal family, which existed centuries before Meghan arrived. The public supports the monarchy and not otherwise. I kind of agree. I've always said that the monarchy is really the Queen, or the monarch, the King or the Queen, the King or Queen regnant. Or everyone else is just a supporting character supporting the main star, which should be the monarch. In our case at the moment, it's the Queen. So everybody else is just support all the work they do, whether it's their own individual project or whatever, a collaboration. Everything is to support the monarch. So it's all kind of in the Queen's name. So there isn't really any competition, who's this, who's that. It's all to support the Queen at the moment. Obviously that will be the King eventually, that will be Charles. And eventually that will be William. So, eventually William and Harry will be back under the same household, because William will be under Buckingham Palace, and Harry and Meghan will be under Buckingham Palace. So basically, they've all got to get on anyway because they're all going to work together for forever. I mean, forever is a long time, but you know, they're going to have to get on, and if they have got any disagreements, they're just going to have to pull their socks up and get on with it because they are stuck with each other for a very, very, very long time unless any of them decide to give up their royal lives and go a different direction. Sharon says, so did Catherine, and she was with Prince William for 8 years. Yes, I mean, again, a long courtship does kind of slightly give you a bit more of an insight into what goes on in the royal family, even if you haven't attended an engagement yourself. But Meghan was kind of thrown into it quite quickly, and she was, you know, like I said, I've always said, I think she was an oven-ready royal. You know, she'd got all the skills that you need to be a royal from all of her previous from her previous life and her previous skills that she'd acquired, and all. But it's still very new, and it's a different way of conducting yourself. But I do think that in terms of the work, Meghan was and is completely ready for that. She's demonstrated quite clearly that she's capable, intelligent, smart. She's got a good eye for detail. She's brilliant at delivering speeches. She's good at spotting an opportunity in terms of how to make a difference. For example, the cookbook, or you know, with SmartWorks, with the clothing, with the like-for-like clothing. So I think she's always been an oven-ready royal. But yes, it is certainly very different to adjust to everything else that goes on around it. Ethan the King says, annoys me when people say Camilla got it easy. Camilla had to prove herself. She continued working towards redeeming herself. When her appearance was mocked daily, not once did she complain. True, she got a lot of stick. She was compared to a horse and all kinds of things. They did berate her. It wasn't for racial reasons, you know, but they did go in. They most, you know, for those of you who remember and lived through it, as I do, they did most certainly pick on her for 10 plus years, more maybe. Let's have a look. Scoop down a bit. Fran says Camilla has the stiff upper lip. Going back to what I've said previously as well, I think for British people, it's very easy to do the stiff upper lip. But for people coming in, it's probably, well, it is probably almost unfathomable almost how to do it. Meghan described it as internally damaging. I mean, you know, if you're born here and you're raised kind of to do it, it doesn't feel internally damaging. I mean, you just kind of get on with it. I mean, that is the British kind of, you know, even though we've, you know, not had World War II for a very, very long time, you know, it's that kind of sense of, oh, you know, even though there's all disaster going around, just, you know, chin up and get on with it, knees up, Mother Brown, get on with it. That's the spirit. And that kind of has still fed down the generations and has kind of ended up as being this kind of stiff upper lip where you could have all kinds of trauma and drama going on around you, and it's like, just dust yourself off and, you know, get on with it. Just, you know, put on your big pants and get on with it. Am I back? Yes. So I think it's taken for Meghan to come in to kind of say, ooh, you know, it's not okay. It does feel damaging internally, of what's going on. I mean, with Meghan's case, it's in relation to the press. It's not just kind of dusting yourself off and getting on with it. It's obviously she's responding to being bullied racially, and just being bullied in general. So slightly different, but nevertheless, I think it's taken her to cut almost a bit like the sacrificial lamb. She's almost been a little bit like the sacrificial lamb. She's sort of been sacrificed for people to kind of realise that it's not okay what the press is doing. You know, just because it's always gone on in the UK, doesn't mean that we should just be used to it and just accept it. So, like I said, it will be very interesting to see what happens with these cases when they come to it. Mrs. Fiji says, you are right. Without stiff upper lip, the UK could easily have collapsed under the strains of World War II. Americans need to understand why it is part of the UK culture. We were not bombed every night like the UK was. The Blitz was appalling, and people had to just get on with it. There was no counsellors, there was no one to go to. You just had to dust yourself off and survive, and that sensibility has fed down. My nan and granddad were that wartime generation, and they had it, and they've passed it on to their children, who have passed it on to their children, and that's how and why it still exists. It really does. So it is part of British culture, and we are kind of used to it. People can call us all kind of names and lambast us, and we just brush it off and get on with it. In a way, we're quite tough. We are quite tough, resilient people, to be quite honest. We aren't sort of mamby-pambying around. We just get on with it, knees up, Mother Brown, and we just get on with it. But I can see through the prism of a different lens. Meghan coming in, who's not used to it, internally damaging. That's how she feels about it. And from an outsider looking in, it probably is. It's just that in Britain we're all used to it. That's what it is. It's a cultural issue, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily right, if you get my drift. And I think people are realising that now. Claudia says Camilla did not have the pressure like Meghan had from her family. I'm sure that has something to do with how she's feeling and coping. True. We probably cannot even begin to imagine the pressure that Meghan's been under from her family. We only see what's been out there. We don't even know probably the half of it. Let's have a look. I did see a comment I wanted to read, but it's gone. Auntie D says, stiff upper lip may be okay for something short term, but not long term. Oh, the war was a long term thing. 6 years. No, like I say, we're just used to it. We are just used to it. It's just the way it is. Fran Mella says, I listened to the tape. Oh, I haven't listened to any tape. I'm not sure what the tape is. Let Lady Gloria says, what's the suicide rate there? That's why... Ooh, the comment's gone. To be honest, I'm not sure what the suicide rate is compared to other countries, because, of course, you have to, break it down into comparables, and I'm not entirely sure, to be quite honest. In fact, shall I Google it, and then we'll see? Because I'm quite interested, actually. UK suicide rate. I'll just have a look really quickly and see. Okay, in the UK, according to the Office of National Statistics for 2017, it's a rate of 10.1 deaths per 100,000 of population. There we go. So shall I compare that to the USA? Just as a basic comparable. There might be... they don't... Well, I can't find something easy. Let me just have a look. Hang on. It's coming. Apparently in the USA it's up by 33% since 1999. 15 to 6... Oh, hang on. 10.5 per 100... Oh, no. Hang on. That was 1999. It is now 14 per 100,000 in 2017. There we go. So it is higher. So I wouldn't say we've got necessarily a problem with suicide rates. Mary says, never complain, never explain. Meghan and Harry need to remember this rule because the documentary made everything more worse. Well, we don't know the long-term effects of the documentary. I think everything kind of hinges on those court cases. Bissani Gold says Camilla and Charles brought the royal family into disrepute, embarrassed the Queen and William and Harry. So the British public rightly saw her as the other woman. I remember at the time, and it was most definitely the news that kind of outed Camilla. Camilla wanted to stay private, and Camilla didn't do interviews, she didn't talk back, she just got on with it. She was the very, very definition of stiff upper lip, and it was the press that hounded Camilla. Camilla didn't attract attention. She was as low key as you could possibly be. Am I back? Not back? Back? Not back? I'm waiting until it... Oh, am I back? Okay, I'll carry on talking. There we go. Okay, apparently I'm back. It's on my screen, it's kind of whizzing round. So anyway, usually it says reconnect, and then I press the button and reconnect. So I'm hoping you can see me. There we go. What was I talking about? What am I doing? I was waiting for the to come back on. Right, what was I talking about? I've forgotten. I've lost my train of thought completely. Right, Kuala Lumpur says, all the royal family should follow the beloved Queen's mantra of never complain, never explain. Her Majesty is hugely successful and beloved in the public's eyes due to her British demeanour. Yes, Rin, they were very cruel to Sarah Ferguson. Yes, I agree. Let's move on with the chat. Bissani Gold says, I saw Meghan outside the Royal Albert Hall on Tuesday, and we cheered her on. Yay! Well, I'm glad. I love the colour. That purple she was wearing was really lovely. And I think she's done a wonderful job this week with obviously the work that she has done, and obviously that round table discussion as well, where she invited Harry at the last minute, because obviously it's a discussion about female empowerment, and she said, quite rightly so, you know, you can't really have a conversation about the issues of female empowerment and women's rights without bringing in men. You can't kind of, you know, exclude half of the population in terms of trying to bring forward people's rights. So I think she was entirely right, and Meghan made a speech and Harry said a few words, and it was just a really lovely engagement, and it was nice of her to bring him along at the last minute. Hayden the King says, it was nice to see another extricate royal car. When will the Queen get an electric Bentley? I will wait. Who knows when the Queen might get an electric Bentley? Maybe Charles might try and get her to have one. He's probably been trying for years. John Pilling says, love that purple dress also. Duchess looks stunning. And Anna Baldwin says, I'm 73 and it's taken most of 50 years to heal those patterns. And PM Smile says, sad fact is... Oh, that's gone. Annette says, Camilla wasn't stupid, she just behaved in the aristocratic manner. Everyone was sleeping around her husband Parker Bowles, but they know to shut up when Camilla did. It's a different world, the aristocratic world. A lot of them had mistresses, and their wives accepted mistresses and all the rest of it. So it was a completely different world to what the most of us live in. Joanna says, hi Elliot, we just heard a rumour that Princess Beatrice is having trouble finding someone to work with her on her wedding dress. What's the problem? I don't know, and I am sure she's probably not having trouble finding someone who wants to work with her. If anything, she's probably having trouble finding a designer that she likes. But no, I haven't heard anything officially, but I'm sure most designers will probably be clamouring to get her as a client. Mrs. Fiji said, Charles expected Diana to accept his having a mistress. Yes, I think he probably did. And she wasn't going to have any of that. And the King says, I was wondering what happens to all the drawings and letters that get sent to Buckingham Palace. Do they just burn them? Where are they kept? I can't imagine that they keep them. I mean, there are, hundreds of thousands a year. Where on earth would they put them? I think that once they are responded to, they are respectfully disposed of, I would probably say. Recycled now. It's the Duchess of the Duchess Augusta tiara today. Shredded, yes, probably shredded as well. I can't put the channel back on slow mode at this point. I can only do it pre-set up. Let's have a look. John Pling says Camilla is making her debut in The Crown this season. I wonder, have they given her a preview? I mean, they may have invited them to have a look, but no. I don't think... Well, we'll never know if they truly watch the show. Thank you to Glenda. Did I see all the beautiful tiaras during the Emperor? Oh, the enthronement was really just a spectacle. It was amazing. And yes, I did see all the tiaras. They were very glamorous, and I loved all the outfits. They were just something else. It was a whole other world. Hamit Creates says this generation does things different from war times, so they feel talking it out is better for health and mental health. Yes, and it probably is. I mean, I'm not discounting that. It probably is better to talk about things than not. However, it's still ingrained in the people of Britain to sort of just get on with it. You just, stuff happens, get on with it. And it's what most people here do. Annie said, okay, then please do it before setup. I did. I had technical issues. I had to restart really quick. So I couldn't put it on. Or else there wouldn't have been a chat tonight. Annette says, bye guys, back to work. Oh no. There you go. There you go. You are displaying some British stiff upper lip. You're just getting on with it and getting back to work. Mary says, filming the documentary whilst they're visiting South Africa to help the poor people was the worst decision. Well, no, I don't think it was a bad decision to film the documentary. But obviously what people are questioning is, towards the end of it, those interview sections, was it the right vehicle to express how you feel about a very personal issue, juxtaposed with, obviously, the engagements of the tour? That's what people are saying. They're questioning whether it was the right place to do that. Not the whole documentary in general. Then the King says, I never knew Princess Mako of Japan studied English in Dublin. Yes, I mean, to be honest, a lot of foreign royalty, rich people from other countries do go to the UK, Ireland, Western countries to, at least, do part of their education, particularly higher education. Oh, don't worry. John says, disappointed that Princess Diana only makes a brief appearance in The Crown, as you think it ends in 1979. Perhaps we will see her introduced at the very, very end to kind of... I can imagine it being a bit of a teaser into season 4. So, yes, maybe. Boo says, ITV was not supposed to release clips and documentary that soon. No, I think the royal family would have always known they were going to release it at this point, but whether they would have approved the promotional clips that were released, i.e. promotional clip, which was the one of Meghan speaking, is beyond me. However, I don't think ITV would want to alienate the royal family, because they've had some pretty good exclusives in terms of access for documentaries. The Charles documentary was ITV. This documentary was ITV. So I don't think they'd want to jeopardise their chances of getting more royal access, like what they have had, by doing something completely that would annoy them. So no, I think the royal family probably would have been aware that the documentary was coming out when it did, but whether they would have quite approved the promotional clip remains to be seen. Sonia says, I think it may be the way young royals are going to go. William and Catherine gave interviews at the end of the Pakistan tour, so no, I don't think Harry and Meghan ruining the tour at all. No, I definitely don't think it ruined the tour. I mean, obviously, a documentary about a tour can only, kind of show people back at home or back around the Commonwealth or around the world who are watching what that tour was all about, because not everybody goes to the Instagrams and Twitters and blogs and YouTube. Lots of people do just watch what's on the telly, so it does help to kind of push more royal work out there and make it more accessible to people. Yes, they are currently filming season 4, and I have seen some beautiful pictures of the actress who plays Diana, and she looks the spitting image of Diana at that age. Cheryl thinks that William and Catherine have definitely upped their game, which is nice. We don't know if Beatrice will have a public wedding or not. The promotional clips made that the focus, and maybe that's why. Well, it was the most explosive bit, so of course they're going to try and promote it with the most explosive bit. Pat Long says, we liked helping Elliot with your trivia questions. Oh yes, the trivia was amazing. I loved when we did the trivia. Thank you to HM the King for organising that trivia. It was really, really good. What do I think about how the documentary ended? I mean, the ending was, of course, Tom Bradbury kind of questioning, what if Harry and Meghan can't accept what's going on? What then? I think was what he said. I mean, it was a very good question, because obviously the overarching theme towards the end was the treatment. Is it worth it? And if it's not worth it, what then? So it was a kind of open-ended ending, an open-ended question ending that basically no one knows, because we don't know how it's going to go. So, probably an appropriate ending to how the documentary turned out at the end. Ooh, Halloween trivia, that would be amazing. Boo says Leveson 2 bill needs passing. Oh, I'm not sure what the Leveson 2 bill was exactly. Talisha says Camilla was introduced to reporters. Once reporters got to know Camilla, she often approached them asking why they wrote negative articles about her. Reporters stopped attacking on Camilla. It's good to have open dialogue, I will say that. Mona Lisa Smile says, I have a feeling Beatrice will have a low-key, non-televised ceremony. I agree with you. I think it's heading that way too. Rin says, I definitely see Catherine becoming more confident in front of the camera. And Glenda says, William and Catherine have to appear regal because he is the heir apparent. I just think it's how they are. I mean, I don't think William and Catherine are necessarily trying to be regal. They are being themselves in the same way Charles and Camilla are being themselves, is the same way the Queen has always been herself. Claudia says, I wonder if they watched the wonderful video Songs from Barbara. Ooh, I don't know. I've never seen that channel. Do the royal children do Halloween? Yes, and we got an example of that this week. So Catherine was spotted. I think it was it a Sainsbury's? Yes, I think it was a Sainsbury's local, and which is just a smaller Sainsbury's store, a small convenience store. And Catherine was there apparently with George and Charlotte, and they were choosing outfits, like just cheap Halloween outfits. Like I think there was a skeleton and a witch costume for sale. Very cheap, very inexpensive. And there was a photo flying around Instagram, and I've lost it. I can't find where it is. It may also be on Twitter, but there was a photograph floating around that appeared to have been taken by a shopper who gave an interview. And she did take a photograph of Catherine at the till, and it appeared to be Catherine, and there appeared to be two small children that looked like George and Charlotte around her. So, yes, they do Halloween because they were buying Halloween costumes at a local Sainsbury's. There we go. And the press obviously was saying how relatable Catherine is because she shops at a Sainsbury's and all the rest of it. Wynne says, can you imagine George and Charlotte coming to your door for trick or treats? Oh yes, I'd love it. I think they're going to come on Saturday. Next Saturday. Yes, did I say Bradbury? Tom Bradby, yes. Yes, he was the one who interviewed William and Catherine on BBC's Engagement. Yes, that is true. The Pink Elephant says, the Crown Series 3 is truly going to be amazing. No one is bothering me in those days. And Mrs. Fiji says, interesting that if those photos were actually Catherine and the kids, they did not make any public statement about it. Well, they wouldn't, would they? I mean, they aren't going to say, oh, you know, no, that wasn't me. I mean, again, that's just answering to the press. You know, if the press puts something out that's false and you answer to it, they're going to do it more just to get, you know, an answer. And I know sometimes, occasionally, they have done that. We've had the Catherine with the Botox story and such like. And obviously, Harry and Meghan did it with the story over the list of rules that you couldn't approach them and all that business. So occasionally they will, but you know, kind of really small, insignificant things, I don't think they're going to bother with much. Red Amalgam says, I get why Tom would have wanted to create some suspense by ending the documentary that way, but the fact that they're planning to launch their Royal Foundation next year kind of dispels the idea they'd run. Well, it does to a point, but not entirely, because yes, they're planning to launch their Royal Foundation next year, but what if it gets too much before then? Would they abandon those plans? What if? We don't know. So it was an open-ended question to an open-ended situation. We don't know. Hayden the King says, think I'll have to do a quiz on royal history. I enjoy any type of quiz. Liv Lumna says, Catherine definitely gets Botox. We do not know if Catherine definitely gets Botox. John Ping says, I love the I Rise video made by Meghan fans this week. It's so lovely. I love Maya Angelou. Anyway, such a wise lady. Indeed. I think the Duchess may have seen it. Her stylist said he loved it. Ooh, maybe. Sharona says, can anyone be a moderator to help you in the live chats? I can appoint anyone to be a moderator. Oh, trivia night. I would love a royal trivia night. Yes. Now, I'm going to wrap this chat up. We've spoken about lots of different things, and next week I am not going to get rid of my broadband. I have decided it's cut off about 4 or 5 times during tonight's chat, so I do apologise. I was trialling it. It only cut off once in my shorter pop-up chats. So yes, I will be keeping my broadband, definitely. So I will be back next week. Next week I will be in costume, and I haven't quite decided who I'm going or what I'm going to be for Halloween. So if you feel like dressing up whilst you're watching me, then please feel free to as well. And obviously take photographs of yourself and post it in Royal Reviewer and Friends, the Facebook group, that is. Obviously, like I said, you know, I'm sure you appreciate now why I put slow mode on to, you know, avoid all the trolls and just to keep things at a much better pace for everyone to follow. But like I said before, if you wish to enjoy a quieter, more private chat, join my Royal Reviewer Patreon, and obviously you get a Friday night chat for patrons only at 9 PM GMT. Also, join me tomorrow at 12 AM UK time, GMT, for the premiere of my weekly vlog. So again, lots been going on in my life, so join me for that. I hope as many of you can make it as possible. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also do hit that bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.